It's the holiday season. Welcome to Christmas Eve at St Andrew's Wine Company, where we're very snugly fitted into our
portrait one today to do Facebook Live. So, hello everyone, happy Christmas.
We've got some fun wine open.
We do. So every Christmas since I opened the shop back in 2012, we've never had a wine open on Christmas Eve that we sell. The purpose of it is just to have some nice wine.
And today we've got this.
We'll start with the Bordeaux first because it is a little lighter.
Fair
so
enough.
what we're doing is we're doing two wines, the youngest of which is 36 years old.
36
Which
now.
is this, Chateau Pibran. Sorry.
Which is the second wine of Chateau Pibran, I found out.
Is it?
Yeah, apparently.
I know nothing about these guys because I've not done any research for this because I couldn't be bothered, to be brutally frank. 1985 is the vintage. As
Which
I said,
is solid.
Yeah, very good year. Lovely year. Probably best year of the 80s. You can't get this. What's weird, the first thing that I noticed with this is that it's basically in a really cheap bottle. Which,
yeah, it's in that dumpy 80s bottle.
yeah, and which is completely different from every Bordeaux producer nowadays.
Pretty much. And it could be, it looks like it could be sort of pre-EU. I mean, this is 85, so it won't be.
No.
But it looks like it could be sort of as people like to call it.
Pauillac.
Pauillac is where all the famous Premier Grand Crus are, basically. For some reason, that's just where they are.
Good land.
Good land. And it usually has nice big fruit to it.
And this
smells ripe.
This is quite ripe. There's a lot. I mean, it is an older wine. We don't know how this has been kept. So this
smells like it has a good texture as well.
It's got sort of cherry stones. It's got a bit of damson on it. It's got a bit of leather-bound books and dust.
Old library.
Bit of a slightly sort of woody, but I'm talking about sort of oak burning sort of smell to it. But very pretty,
and it's
really
lovely.
pretty.
I mean, I love how that we had another one of your 85s from this auction, and that was a Saint-Emilion.
Yeah,
and that was gorgeous. And it felt very Saint-Emilion-y.
And it's still got quite a red colour. I mean, it is going down that bricky route that old wine does.
The garnety bricky, but it's got a core to it. I mean, the colour looks healthy.
Yeah. It's lost a bit of the fruit. It's a bit. It's.
There is a notch of sweetness, though.
There is. It's holding on by its fingernails. It's sort of clinging to a cliff.
Yeah, it's near the end.
And it's sort of just still clinging on. The fruit is just there.
Yeah.
But it's just got that little bit of a sort of thinness
a long finish. Quite a long finish as well, actually.
You're disgusting. Stop it! People don't want to see that at 9:30.
Throat clear.
Yeah. It's a bit bust, to be honest.
But and at that stage you put it with food, and that's the
well,
thing.
that is true. Yeah, you chop that with a bit of venison.
That's the fun with these old wines, and we've done this before when we did the 96 Focus Dupre. We said that these wines aren't necessarily about having a nice, bottle to yourself, chilling with it. It's more about, that's fun, have it with food, and then move on to something else.
Yes.
And that's mostly the fun of these wines. So,
Chug. The next wine we're doing is in a decanter. Now this was
this
another.
Is terribly exciting.
This was a.
Look at that colour. This is nice. Let
me tell them. What
my god.
This is another bottle that we got from auction. No, it wasn't from auction. It was from a specialist port retailer.
It was very good and very nice.
Very good and very nice. This is a 1963 port. Now, we didn't know what it was.
We knew that
Who was the bottler?
We knew it was bottled by Peatling and Crawdon.
Yes.
This is the oldest wine I've had to date.
Is it?
Yes. This is
okay. Well, basically, the way that vintage port used to be is that you could. There were a lot of them that were bottled in Oporto, but then there were barrels shipped to various countries around the world, Britain, Norway, Germany, wherever, and then they were bottled by a wine merchant there. So, for example, Grants of St James, for example, they were a bottler.
They're quite a reputable one.
Yeah. And I wasn't aware of Pietring and Crawdon until I thought Crawdon. Sorry, still not aware of them.
This is why This is a slightly, this is what, 120 quid, something like that?
It was something like that, yeah.
Because 63s would usually be, up in that 200-300 quid
Yeah.
mark. And because it's bottled by a merchant and not the shipper,
Yeah.
it's going to be, and the port is amazing, and
Yeah.
it's going to be great, but that's a more affordable way to find older ports.
Yeah,
I think.
it is. And now, the thing is that this doesn't
No
have a
label,
label on it. And
but
this
it does have
this
the white paint.
Yeah, it does. This was so we didn't know what this was. And usually on bottles of port, the cork is branded. So yesterday we had an iPhone light sort of trying to peer through the glass, and we think it's Gould Campbell. So we were going, ooh, that's a good producer. They're very good with vintage port. That they're owned by the Symingtons. They bought them in 1970, so this predates the Symingtons owning it. Yeah.
So we thought, but next day we'll find out exactly what it is.
So we got Ben's little
Butler's
thief thing, and we slid it down the side of the cork in a very, very careful way. We knew it was 1963, and we thought, great, we'll pull the cork out in one piece, and we'll be able to see who the producer is. And I completely and utterly butchered the bit where Gould Campbell was written.
It's almost as if you adroitly wanted to. Literally, it was so finely done, not even overlapping into the information below, just perfectly cancelling out one bit of information that we needed. However, I shone that torch in.
Typical of us, isn't it?
I know it is. We're just the two
disaster
once again.
and chaos.
Yes, yeah, Gucci and Prada.
Yeah.
It's but I definitely saw Gould yesterday.
Yeah,
when I got that torch in.
Yeah.
So we do know. Anyway, it's a good producer, and you can smell it's a good producer.
99% Gould Campbell, we think.
So the 63 vintage.
Awesome.
Legendary.
Will outlive you.
Yes, exactly. And I'm not going to live that long. So
you could live to 100 and it would still outlive you.
No, we'll see about that.
So this is...
just flashbacks to last year. This time last year when we were having a Posish 70.
Yeah.
And that was my experience of, okay, this is what happens to port when it really gets old.
But this is even older. This is back in 63, which is...
What happens is the fruit, the booze, and everything else come together. And as we said in a recent video, the finish gets longer as it gets older.
Yeah.
It's amazing.
What's 63? So that's approaching 60 years old, isn't it? No. What is it? Approaching 60 years old. Maths at 9:30 in the morning is not my strong point. And 63 was one of the legendary vintages of all time, really. 63, 45, 27, 85, I would argue, 77s.
85 is an
94.
interesting one. We've had Churchill's 85, and it's still a sort of underdoggy. The 80s are sort of... people don't sort of pay attention to them. Even the 90s, apart from 94.
But that's because they're young.
Exactly.
With port,
and that's the big point.
With port, you get this it's
they
when it gets old.
Yet.
When it gets old, that's when
those
they start
80s
paying
haven't
attention.
come around yet.
No.
Because 80, 83, 85 are technically all really, really strong.
Yeah, I think 87 was also good, so they should have declared 87 and didn't.
Silly billies.
Yeah. But anyway, 63, the vintage in the 60 was 60, 63, and 66. 63 is by far the strongest, 66 afterwards.
Over 66?
Yeah. 63 is, if you made a bad port in 63, you shouldn't make port, basically. This is beautiful. It's got that lovely cherry and...
It's got a bit of pine needle as well. It's got a touch of... sort of autumnal forest floor, but not fruits. Just
then you get that sort of Christmas puddingy spice coming through. You get dried orange peel. You get cloves, nutmeg, cinnamon.
It's so complex. And by the way, the point I was shouting, look at the color earlier. It's old, and look at the color. It's red.
It's red.
I mean, when we're pouring out, it's this gorgeous sort of red watermelon-y juice type colour, which is what you get from a port. But this is, look how vibrant that's ruby. That's not garnet. That's a deep ruby red.
You get also a weird, a wee element of almost a sort of fruit, sort of cranberry sauce or something like that.
Yeah. It's just
it's
gorgeous.
It's that sort of fruit jam, but not jam. That sort of brighter sort of fruit compote sort of thing.
Oh, that's what people use when they want to say jam, but they want to be posh and they don't want to make it sound like a Shiraz. That's the thing.
You don't want loads of. It's not
Because
about loads of sugar. It's about fruit sweetness.
Exactly, because if you say raspberry jam, you think, oh, it's jammy red roux from Tesco, But this is it's big and jammy fruit, but it doesn't have a cloying, overbearing sweetness that jam would have.
There's still tannin on that. That's still. I want more of this. This is delicious. It's beautiful sweetness up front. The alcohol comes in quite early on. Warms you.
How is there still tannin?
It's sort of like cuddling you. It's a hot water bottle in a cold bed. That's what it is.
That's like when good wines just hit, they hit you everywhere, and I'm getting I feel this in my fingers. I feel it genuinely. It's going everywhere.
Port is all around.
Yeah. Port is all around.
Reg Presley wrote that. It was in a group called the Trogs. Anyway.
Don't care.
No.
Oh my goodness. That's amazing.
Yeah. There's coffee, there's chocolate, there's tobacco.
There's another 20 years in that.
There's another 50 years in that.
Not insane.
Yeah.
And that shows you this is the bottle, by the way.
It's got this very lovely warming spice, and then that compote, and then you get tobacco and leather and cocoa powder.
This is like what I would want from a good brandy as well. Like, there is brandy in this, obviously, and that's also playing its part. I'd never need brandy ever again. I could just drink that.
Drink vintage port.
Probably
cheaper to get brandy. We love this. This is fantastic. And sorry, you can't buy any.
This is a big privilege.
Yeah, it's very good. My pleasure. It is a lovely wine, and you can't buy any. So, true to form, we have provided absolutely no consumer advice.
But we have infected you with the joy of vintage port.
And Christmas.
And not COVID.
Yeah, and not COVID, hopefully. I tested negative this morning, so I'm fine.
Wonderful. So did I.
There we go. We're good.
Come into the shop.
Can we cuddle then? No, we won't. Happy Christmas. Have a lovely Christmas, everyone. Hope you have a lovely time and drink some nice wine. Enjoy. Bye.
You are now watching the BBC Home Service.